If nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the fuck away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this. This can't be fixed. Right? This can't be fixed. You just have to escape. So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood where, I have a very low black population. Because unfortunately, there's a high correlation between the density. And this is according to Don Lemon, by the way. So here I'm just quoting Don Lemon when he notes that when he lived in a mostly black neighborhood, there were a bunch of problems that he didn't see in white neighborhoods. So even Don Lemon sees a big difference in your own quality of living based on where you live and who's there. So I think it makes no sense whatsoever as a white citizen of America to try to help black citizens anymore. It doesn't make sense. It's no longer a rational impulse. And so I'm gonna back off from being helpful to black America because it doesn't seem like it pays off. Like I've been doing it all my life, and the only outcome is I get called a racist. That's the only outcome. It makes no sense to help black Americans if you're white. It's over. Don't even think it's worth trying. Totally not trying. And there we go. You didn't expect that today, did you? But those who don't want to focus on education, you just need to get away from them. Just get as much distance as you can. That's my recommendation. And I'm also really sick of seeing video after video of black Americans beating up non-black citizens. I realize it's anecdotal, and it doesn't give me a full picture of what's happening. But every damn day, I look on social media and there's some black person beating the shit out of some white person. I'm kind of over it. I'm over it. Right? So I quit.
And thou shalt go at noonday, as the blind goeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
I think it makes no sense whatsoever as a white citizen of America to try to help black citizens anymore. It doesn't make sense. It's no longer a rational impulse. And so I'm gonna back off from being helpful to black America because it doesn't seem like it pays off. Like I've been doing it all my life, and the only outcome is I get called a racist. That's the only outcome. It makes no sense to help black Americans if you're white. It's over.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. You already know what it is. It's the team, the squad, Research Judah coming back to you with another video. And on today's video, we have Mr. Dilbert Scott Adams. Mr. Adams, Mr. Adams, Mr. Adams. Let me count the ways. The back and forth rifts between these two nations. What is it? What is the beef? Why can we not get along? I'll tell you why. He said that we should not prosper in our ways. We should be only oppressed and we spoiled evermore, and no man shall save us. Because we got to keep this in context now. We are in the last days.
We've been in the last days for a minute now. Decades, even centuries. Now that we waking up.
The book is becoming more clear. The pages are making sense now. So a little bit about Mr. Adams. Of course, he wrote the comic strip Dilbert, which was basically popular in the early/mid 90s, which was basically a comic strip that they used to place in the section or the back section of the newspaper. And if your daddy or if your grandpappy used to read them, you would know what I'm talking about, or if you was in that era of generation. And that's basically, the newspaper was basically the social media back in those times. That's how news got out. You know, the mailman would run and throw the newspaper, and of course, you know, your daddy or your grandpappy would go get it and read it. And of course, the favorite times was when you go to the back of the newspaper and read the comic strip section. And one of my favorite things as a youngin' was to go get the newspaper and read the back section, because that's where all the cartoons were. You know, Peanuts, aka Charlie Brown. You had your Dennis the Menace. Of course, Dilbert and so forth. And, you know, that was one of my things. I guess that kind of inspired me to start reading. So back to Mr. Adams. He was born in New York. And I want you to pay attention to something. He describes himself as about a half German, English, Irish, Welsh, Scottish, Dutch, and a small amount of Native American ancestry. So he kind of knows where he comes from. So it's a lot of pride of European blood running through those veins. I can't knock it. I definitely can't knock it. And now that I'm finding out who I am and where my people come from, there's a sense of pride in that too as well. And Mr. Adams, he's worth about a strong 75 mil. I mean a strong 75 mil. Looks like I need to start drawing. You know what I mean? Add another stream of income to my portfolio. 75 mil? Drawing cartoons? Man. So let's look at the facts here. He's a European. He's a rich European. And also, his people is ruling. How you like that?
When he lived in a mostly black neighborhood, there were a bunch of problems that he didn't see in white neighborhoods. So even Don Lemon sees a big difference in your own quality of living based on where you live and who's there.
So Mr. Adams, I will just say Scott. Scott is talking about Don Lemon, which is referring to Bill O'Reilly, who is another rich European who also knows that his people is ruling. He's very opinionated as well, and he was in some hot water back in the day. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip, and we're gonna move on from there.
So listen to
Fair
this.
use. Fair use.
The reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African American family.
He's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. Bill?
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too. But in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough. Because black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing.
And before he gets into those 5 things, as you can see his face, the face of disgust when he's talking about his people. And again, he said if black people wants to fix the problem, meaning us, we have to fix our own problem. We cannot have outside influence to fix us as a people. You can see that throughout history. Let's keep it moving.
Here's number 5. And if this doesn't apply to you, if you're not doing this, then it doesn't apply to you. I'm not talking about you. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants. Some people, a lot of them black, gave me flack for saying that recently on the Wendy Williams show. If you're sagging, it means I think it's your self-esteem is sagging and who you are as a person. It's sagging. Young people need to be taught respect, and there are rules. Sagging pants, whether it's Justin Bieber or no-name Derek around the way, walking around with your ass and your underwear showing is not okay. In fact, it comes from prison when they take away belts from the prisoner so that they can't make a weapon. And then it evolved into which role a prisoner would have during male-on-male prison sex. The one with the really low pants is a submissive one. You get my point?
I just want to pause here briefly and ask the audience, or more so just ask black people, what is our dress code? What was our dress code when we got here, or before we got here?
Number 4 now is the N-word.
For our generation, what we did was we took the word and we took the power out of that word.
We took this word and we made it into poetry.
I understand poetic license, but consider this. I hosted a special on the N-word, suggesting that black people stop using it, and that entertainers stop deluding yourselves or themselves and others that you're somehow taking the word back. By promoting the use of that word when it's not germane to the conversation, have you ever considered that you may just be perpetuating the stereotype the master intended, acting like a nigger? A lot of African Americans took offense to that too, and I wondered if I gave the right advice. I really did. But confirmation came the very next day on my way home when I exited the subway on 125th Street in Harlem. This little kid in a school uniform, no older than 7 years old, he was crying his eyes out as he walked down the sidewalk with his mother. I'm going to be honest here. She turned to him and she said, "I'm sick of you. You act like an old-ass man. Stop all that crying, nigger." Is that taking the word back? Think about that.
Pause. Now, if we really want to take the word back, let's start educating ourselves and know that that word is in the book, the chosen book. And guess what it means? It means black. And the people who wrote that was black. And the people they was talking to are currently black. Go research it.
Now, number 3, respect where you live. Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering. I live in Harlem now. It's an historically black neighborhood. Every single day I see adults and children dropping their trash on the ground when a garbage can is just feet away. Just being honest here.
Now, I ain't gonna lie. I have seen this time and time again amongst my people. And all I have to do is stress this point here is if we want better, we must do better.
Number 2, finish school. You want to break the cycle of poverty? Stop telling kids they're acting white because they go to school or they speak proper English.
Clearly, you can see our brother has been fed up with us for a long time.
A high school dropout makes on average $19,000 a year. A high school graduate makes $28,000 a year. A college graduate makes $51,000 a year. Over the course of a career, a college grad will make nearly $1 million more than a high school graduate. That's a lot of money. And number 1, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison. And the cycle continues. So please, black folks, as I said, if this doesn't apply to you, I'm not talking to you. Pay attention to and think about what has been presented in recent history as acceptable behavior. Pay close attention to the hip-hop and rap culture that many of you embrace, a culture that glorifies everything I just mentioned, thug and reprehensible behavior, a culture that is making a lot of people rich, just not you, and it's not going to.
And as you heard, everything that he said could be found in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, 15 through 68. I mean, everything to the T that he explained and expounded on fits us, not only as a people, but as a nation of people. I'll say this though, even though it don't pertain to you, it pertains to you. Because as a nation, the curse of the Deuteronomy follows us all. Now, some of us might be doing better than the other. That does not still exempt you from the curse, because at the end of the day, we are starting to come into the knowledge of who we are. And if we start practicing the ways that our ancestors did before they fell, our brother right here wouldn't be ranting on his people, on our people, just the way that he did. And he wouldn't be following the ruling class that's ruling right now into agreeing the points that they make about us. And just in the closing of this video, I just want to point out that Scott Dilbert Adams knows where he comes from, and he also knows his lineage. Look at this picture. These are the people that is currently ruling over us right now. In order for things to change, what do we have to do? It's all in the book. Read.